There we go. There you are.
All right, everybody. Welcome. Here we are. Welcome to Branding to Action while Marketing to Success. We're here with it's me, Debra Dixon-Anderson from Light of Gold PR. And
hello, guys. It's me, Katanni Bramhan, founder and creative director of the K District.
Yes. Awesome. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. You'll get a little sneak peek into this wonderful, wonderful workshop and webinar that we're hosting just for you. And let's see. We will start with, I know you're up first, Katanni, to introduce yourself. And just want to make sure you get a chance to share it.
Yes.
To your page before we start.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
Let's see.
All right. And if anybody has any questions for either Katanni or for myself, go ahead and put it into Facebook, into the chat. We'd love to have you join us here if you get registered, but if not, we'll take your questions still. So,
so you know what? We're it's not showing on my end that you're live yet, but you know when we do it, then that's when I'll share it. So
okay.
I am ready whenever you are.
All right. Well, I'm ready. Katanni, you're up first to introduce yourself and share with us about the K District and your everything, all the wonderful services that you provide.
All right, awesome. So once again, guys, hello, welcome. My name is Katanni Bramhan. I am the founder and creative director of the K District Concierge Branding Boutique. And what we do is we provide creative design, strategy, and consulting, brand strategy, brand design, and brand consulting for those in various creative fields. I've been doing this for a total amount of 15 years, but I've been working within my agency for the past 7. And over that time, I've worked with a variety of industries. Before I started out as a freelancer, I freelanced for Aeropostale, I freelanced for Gucci, I freelanced for various design and advertising agencies who've had clients such as UPS, Michaels, Walmart, you know, some pretty big players within the industry, and that's how I got my feet wet into the design world. But after a while of being semi-corporate as a freelancer, I decided that I wanted to help smaller businesses or mid-sized businesses, and so that's when I decided to set out on my own. And over those years, I've really niched down to who I really want to serve and who I really feel needs my help the best. And I feel like those are people in the creative industries as well as various other service-based industries, but creatives are my people. And so what I bring to the table is the importance of effective design and the importance of branding, because I feel like a lot of small businesses and some mid-sized businesses as well tend to not focus so much on their brand message and their position. And in a world where a lot of people may be doing the same thing that you are, you have to do what you need to stand out. And what really makes you stand out is your brand. And what really makes you stand out is whatever makes you special, that is a part of your brand. And my team and I help you guys focus on, or help our clients focus on that, build a brand around that, build a strategy around that to drive not only their marketing plan, but their sales plan and their overall sales plan as well.
Sorry, had to unmute. Awesome, Katanni. So I guess I will introduce myself next. I'm Debra Dixion-Anderson, founder and CEO of Light of Gold PR Marketing Consulting, LLC. We've been in business 14 years. We're coming upon 2021, so we'll be celebrating our 15th year in business in March. So super excited about that. pretty much what Light of Gold PR does is press, marketing, branding, digital. We also really focus a little bit more on the marketing side and helping our clients find other ways to get to their target market. And sometimes it might include social media. Sometimes it might be traditional tactics like, back in the day, it used to be called guerrilla marketing. Today it's just like picking up the phone, or sending something in the mail, which now has become very old school. But because we're in the midst of a pandemic, it still might be something useful, to be able to kind of penetrate and get people's attention. So we try to look at whatever your industry is and what tactics and what trends make the most sense for your particular industry. Pre PR marketing, I worked in the tech and IT field. So a lot of what we do incorporates a lot of that. We try to encourage our clients to make use of great hashtags and social media, their website, all the different tools that they could use to get more traction. And so, I'm excited to be in this webinar with Katanni because we've worked together for a number of years now. And so it's really, really great for us to be I feel like we're the dynamic duo, being able to provide, a little bit from her perspective with the branding and a little bit from my perspective with branding in relation to marketing. So.
All right, cool. So what are we gonna bring to you? What are we going to bring to you guys tonight? I am going to bring you guys basically what are your brand values and basically assuming your position as a brand and how a plan of act and creating an aligned plan of action to basically let people know who you are as a brand. All right. And what we're gonna do, so what are we gonna do here? We're gonna jump right into the presentation, right? All right, awesome. So let's share my screen. There we go. And run show. All right, so my part, brand into action. And we're going to go in a little bit. We're going to go a little bit into how to define your brand value and your position as a brand. So what we'll cover is pretty much what I just stated, but I'll reiterate. We'll do a brand assessment. We're going to get to know who you are as a brand. And then what we're going to do is create an aligned plan of action. So let's get started. When we do a brand assessment, the first thing you want to do is analyze what you have. So if you've been in business for a while, analyze what you currently have. Do you have a website? Do you have business cards, marketing materials? Do you have an old ad in the yellow pages that's probably been forgotten about? Do you have think of everything that you've ever done. Well, maybe not ever done, but let's think about everything that you've done. And I'll say the past 3 to 5 years to market yourself. But if you cannot think back to everything that you've done and analyze what you have and then once you lay out what you have, list what's missing, but what you would like to have. So when we do these things, let's have an example. I have my website, correct? And on my website, I list that I do mock-ups, but I don't do mock-ups anymore. That's not something I've done for years. So but what I do now is video content, and that's not listed on my site. So this is what we want to do is list everything we have, scratch out the things that no longer serve us and the things that we no longer do, and list out the things that we now do, but we don't let anyone know about it. So those are the things. So those are the things that we need to add into our brand, and basically into our brand story. Review your assets. So what that means is, what makes you great? What makes you who you are? Why do people choose you over everyone else? That is one part of your asset. Another part of your brand assets is who you are visually, meaning your logo, color scheme, all of those things. When you review your assets, and when you think about them, do your brand assets really communicate what you do as a brand? Let me give you an example. Let's just say you were a luxury brand. Whatever luxury service or product that you have, whatever luxury service you provide, whatever luxury product that you have, but you realize that you're not really reaching those people. When you look at your assets, do your assets convey luxury? Do your assets tell your audience that this is a luxury product? Or do your assets, or do you have low res images? Do you have packaging? Do you have packaging that may not be the top of the line material? Do you have things that are basically saying that you are middle of the road, or maybe even more of a bargain brand, but you're trying to convey that you are this luxury service provider, or something that someone else providing a luxury product. So if you review your assets and realize that the message that you're conveying that is off, that is something that we need to throw into the assessment, so that we can create a plan of action on how to make sure that your brand fits the market that the target that you want to target. Review your data. So again, if you've been in business for a while, what have your sales been like from, let's say, 2015 until now? How many people have you reached? How many people have generated interest? How many people have converted into a client? And what you want to do is analyze what type of people over those years have converted into clients for you. When you review your data, that gives you a good idea of the type of market that you've already been targeting for the past couple of years. And if you don't have that in-depth data like that, just think about it about the past couple of years. You probably have been noticing a running trend in the types of clients that you've been able to acquire. So if you don't have hard facts, hard numbers, hard data, that's okay. You can just think about some of the clients that you have worked with, and just list some of their qualities, what their industry was, how many employees they've had, so that you can categorize them as small, mid-size, or a larger business, and think about, and then you can pretty much go from there and assess the type of market that you are currently attracting. And then from there, you want to analyze, do I still want to work with those types of people? And if you do, then cool. Then we create a plan of action to target more of those types of people. Or if they're not, then we create a plan of action on how to change and how to shift in a different direction and go and target a different market. While you're doing this, you want to research your competition. You always want to keep up with what other people in your industry are doing. Not necessarily, of course, not to copy them or do something that they're doing, because that's not what we're the data that we're doing. I mean, that's not the data that we're trying to gather. We're trying to basically just keep up with what's out there. Industries change all the time, year after year. People care about different things. People want to do things differently. So keeping up with your competition and keeping up with your industry in general will let people know whether or not what you are offering is still something that people want. All right, so we want to do going further and into our brand assessment. We want to get to know a little bit more about you and get you to thinking about things about yourself and your brand and your business that you may or may not have thought of in ages. Now, my full comprehensive list has about 150 questions. We're not going over all of those, of course. So, but here are, I'll say, about 15 to 20 questions that we can ask ourselves today to really get to know our brand again and get an idea of the type of people who we're going to go after and create a plan of action of how we're going to go after them. So, what are the core values of your business? A lot of people love and hate this question because you think, I don't know. I don't know what my core values are. I just want customers, right? But think beyond selling. Of course, we're in business to make money. That is a given. So what you want to do is think beyond making money. Why do you do what you do? What do you get out of doing what you are doing within your business? So what are your core values? An example is my core value has always been education and communication and focus. Even though we are a creative service and we're in a creative field, we do have a fair amount of structure with how we do things, because if not, we'd just be scatterbrained artists. So our core, but at the top of that list has always been education. When we started, I was kind of quote unquote just a graphic designer. I really only executed for I didn't really care. Not that I cared, but I didn't really go into the whole branding part of design. So before that, it was design education and the importance of effective design. I never say good or bad design, or I try not to say good or bad design because that's subjective. So when I say effective, meaning that it is communicating the message that the client intended. That's what I mean when I say effective design. So when I educate my clients on the value of effective design, it not only gave them products and materials that look good. It gave them materials that clearly communicated to their audience exactly what they did and how they're going to do it. So education is one of my main company values, or core values. So what are your core values of your business? Is it, is it connection? Is it community? Is it, is it strength? Is it whatever it is, a lot of your brand messaging is going to be centered around that. So how would you describe your brand? When I say that, and when I think about this, I want you to make it as simple as possible. Think about describing what you do to a 5-year-old. How would list the main things that you do within your business and go from there. Name something interesting about your brand. I will say this, even if you think you come from one of the most boring industries in the world, there is something interesting about what you do and something that is interesting about your brand that a lot of people may not even think of. Like, you might make like motherboards for computers, and I'm like, that sounds boring as hell, doesn't it? But without motherboards, we can't even do what we're doing right now. So that you have to really dive deep and think about what you're doing as a company and why you're doing it, and say, like, hey, this is awesome. So, and this is how I'm going to tell people why I'm awesome. What problem does your company solve? Again, make this as simple as possible, and then go from there, because you want to build upon a simplicity, but you don't want to build upon it so much that you make it overly complex. So the main thing that your brand solves, think about this. My foot hurts. Okay. What are you going to, what can you do? You can go to a podiatrist. You can go grab some icy hot. One solution is going to a doctor, and next solution is going to the store, and try to handle out yourself. Those two, even though they're different, those are two solutions to my problem, correct? So you have to think about your target market's client, or think about not even your target market, think about your customers, your current customers. Think about your current customers and potential customers' problem, and how does your product or service solve that problem? Describe a typical customer and why they need your brand. So when you do this, we're just expounding upon what I just asked in the previous question. What problem do they have? And when you describe their problem, describe who that person is. Are they male, female? Are they in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s? Are they what tax bracket are they in? Basically, how much do they generally make? What do they care about generally? Are they the type of people who recycle and conserve and all save the whales, or are they the type of person who just wants convenience and wants everything done for them quick, fast, in a hurry? Think about who the type of people you want to target and the type of people who you have targeted are, and think about why they needed your service or product. And we asked, what problem you solve? Now we ask, how do you solve the problem? So let's go back to my foot hurting. My foot hurting is, and both the doctor and the creator of Icy Hot, they both solve my problem, but they solve it in very different ways, don't they? So the doctor solves my problem by me going to them and them asking me a bunch of questions, and then them billing me a whole bunch of money, and then telling me what my problem is with my foot. The maker of Icy Hot, which I don't even know why the name escapes me now, but anyway, they solved my problem by me just going to the store and putting this ointment on my foot, and then it's gonna stop. Not even sure Icy Hot works on feet, but roll with me. Okay, so so you guys get what I'm saying. So I probably should have used me, but anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. So even though those are two solutions to my problem, those problems are solved in very different ways. How is your brand priced compared to the market? So this is usually a big one, and I'm not going to go too much into this because this is a whole rabbit hole that you can go to that you can go down when it comes to pricing. But I'm just going to touch on it a little bit. How your brand is perceived, how your brand is priced, gives a certain perception about your business. If you are way below the market, sometimes people might think that's a great deal, or people might think that, why is it so cheap, and maybe it doesn't work. And if you are priced a lot higher than than average in the market, people might think like, oh, if you are, depending on how you are presenting yourself as a brand, it can say, oh my God, this is the price, and then this is how it's packaged, and it must be a luxury service, and it might not be something I can afford now, but damn, I wish I could afford it. It looks like something I'd like to have. Or depending on how you are presenting yourself as a brand, you can say, what people can say, oh my God, why is it so expensive? So you want to make sure that how your brand is packaged matches how you are pricing yourself within the market. So this is also one of the reasons why it's important to do a competitive analysis to see if you are on par with other people within your industry. How does your company deliver on its brand promise? So your promise to your customer is that you are going to solve their problem, whatever problem they have, and you've defined what their problem is, you defined how you're going to solve that problem, and you're going to say, okay, this is what we're going to do to deliver on the brand promise. So whatever that may be, that is what we are going, basically, whatever your promise is to your customer, you want to have a plan of action on how you are going to not only deliver that promise, but kind of over give and over deliver on that promise. And what should you do differently to deliver on its brand promise? If what you're doing is not working, what do we have to do different? What do we have to do differently in order to get through those things, get to that delivery? All right. So next, do you have a personality? Every brand has a personality, whether it's straightforward and boring, quote unquote, not boring in the boring sense, but straightforward, structured. Or you can have the fun, bold personality. Think of Wendy's. Think of Wendy's taking jabs on Twitter at all other fast food restaurants. That's their personality. They're sarcastic. They're snarky. That's their brand. But then also think about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is all about Southern hospitality. Please, thank you, yes ma'am, no ma'am. That's their personality, even though they're in the same industry. So you want to think about the personality that your brand has, because you want to maintain that type of personality throughout your brand messaging. Where do your customers come from? Now it could be a myriad of places, internet, traditional, sales calls. Where do they come from, and how do people find you currently? I got ahead of myself. How do customers find you? Do they find you on Yelp? Do they Google you? Do they find you on Facebook? Do they find you on Instagram? How does your current marketing add or detract from your brand? What I mean by that is, if you're doing all of your marketing on Facebook, but all of your potential customers are on Instagram, there's obviously a disconnect, isn't it? So you want to think about where you're marketing and whether or not it's working for you and your business. Now, don't get it confused. There could be your target audience could be where you are marketing yourself. However, there is some sort of disconnect within your messaging so that you're not connecting to your potential client. So when you think about your current marketing, that's one of the things you want to think about, and that's how it's adding or detracting from your brand. Is your marketing consistent in the use of voice, tone, colors, and images? This is kind of where I get back to the personality. So that's your tone of voice. But colors and imagery, you want to make sure that's consistent as well, so that when you start building brand recognition, people will instantly be able to recognize you, even if you change. And I'll say, even if you do a change of logo, even if you do a change of color scheme, people can still recognize you. I see different logos for Google almost every day, but we still know it's Google, right? Because there's other things within their branding that's consistent. So no matter how much they change their logo, they still maintain a level of consistency within their variances, I'll say. And then, what marketing channels do your company use? This is just another way of me telling, in all honesty, how do people find you? And what marketing channels does the customer use? And is there any difference? Again, it's just kind of me reiterating of how the customers find you and where your customers come from and how you are marketing yourself. So again, if there's a disconnect there, we want to do what we can to fix that. And what do you think of when you see your logo and other brand assets? Are you looking at the message that you want to convey is, are your current brand assets reflecting that? And how responsive is customer support? Customer service is like pricing is another thing where you can go kind of deep down a rabbit hole, but I just want to touch on it a little bit, that how you operate your business and how you respond to customers and how your employees respond to customers are a huge part of your brand. So how do we, after thinking about all those questions, I know that was a lot. And like I said, my comprehensive list has almost 200 questions. So think about that. But once you get some answers to those questions, and once you've really thought about them, we want to create an aligned plan of action. So what do we mean by aligned? You want to grab a hold of your values, your strengths, and your skills. And you want to play upon those. And you want to build your brand around those, as well as your promise to your client. So what activities do you do to support your brand values? For example, I said that my brand value was education. One of my brand values is education, right? So I spend a lot of time hosting workshops just like this. I have a Facebook group where I give branding tips every day. I have, during my strategy sessions, aside from just delivering on the design portion, if there's something I feel is not aligned with the customer's value, then I let them know. But I don't just say it because I'm the designer and they should do what I say and I'm the professional. I say it, I educate them on why I feel this way and why I feel they should take whatever direction I suggest they are taking. So those are my activities, those are my personal activities I do to support these values. Okay. How do you play upon your strengths? So whatever you are good at, we want to put that at the forefront. If you are really good at, if you are an HVAC person, and you are really good at servicing boilers, but you are not so good at, at plumbing, we want to play up the boilers. We don't want to talk too much about the plumbing, right? You can do that, but you want to say, if you want people to say, hey, if it's 0 degrees where you are and your heat just went out, you want to call this guy, right? So that's because that is your strength, and that's something that you are good at. So how do you change? The next thing is, how do you change the perception of your weakness? Again, you're an HVAC person, you're great at servicing boilers, but you're not so good at plumbing, right? So you want to, what you may want to do is hire somebody who is good at plumbing. And now you're your own dynamic duo, as Debra stated earlier, even if you don't want to remove that service completely, maybe you take on smaller jobs, or take on jobs that are not as complex when it comes to plumbing. You want to change. That's what you do to change the perception of your weakness. You say, you know what, I may not be as good at this, but this is how I can turn it around. And then how do you showcase your skills? Let's get off the HVAC person. Oh, you know what? I'll stay in the industry. I'll say a general contractor. The easiest way for a general contractor to showcase their skills are before and after photos, whether that's on a website or on social media, or even if you're just texting the potential customer, this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looked like after. That is one of the best ways for a general contractor to showcase their skills. Another way, if you're a writer, you have writing sense. If you're a copywriter, you write sales copy or anything to that effect. You might have a portfolio of writing samples. You might have a portfolio of what the customer have written themselves if they try to do sales copy, and then you have what you wrote next to it. And then if you want to go deeper, you might want to make a comparison of their sales when the customer did copy themselves versus sales when they did copy after you did it, and how those sales increased. So what are you going to do to showcase how are you going to showcase your skills, and how are you going to best showcase your skills to your potential customers? All right. So again, the next thing you want to do is decide when, how, and where your customers will view you. I gave you a list of places that my customers view me within my group. I also have a podcast. Anything that I feel like that is a quote unquote educational platform, that's usually where I hang out. The same thing with if we go back to general contractors, they might put all of their effort on Thumbtack or Home Advisor or something to that effect. So you want to, and when I say when, say that is entirely up to you. How often are you going to communicate to your potential customers? Are you going to put out an email blast? Are you going to post on social media? Are you going to post on social media every day? Where are people going to view you? Where does it make sense for your brand to be? If I'm going to stay on general contractors, I just stated places like Thumbtack and Home Advisor are great places for someone in that service industry to be. It may not make as much sense for a general contractor to be on LinkedIn. So they, not saying that they can't get customers and clients from LinkedIn, but they probably are going to get most of their clients and customers from a platform like Home Advisor. Are you equipped to maintain these outlets? So what I mean is, if you have an old MySpace page that you haven't touched in 10 years, you might want to take it down, because when people, all these things are contributing to your SEO, first of all. So so someone Googles you and they see a social media page that hasn't been updated in a few years, they're going to say like, what's wrong? Are these people still in business? What are they doing? You want to describe your outcome for each outlet and craft your call to action around it. So what I mean by this is, again, making sales is a given, but you want to think beyond selling. You want to think about how you're going to get people, I'll say, into your world. So for example, I run a Facebook ad. I do not run Facebook. Most of the time I do not run Facebook ads with the intention of getting sales. If I do run Facebook ads, I'm running it for an extremely low cost digital product. But I normally run an ad for a free product, getting into my group, which is free, or for a webinar that's normally free, and to get people into my pipeline. So that is the intended outcome for that Facebook group ad. Get people into my pipeline. Then from there, I can convert people from my email list, or I can convert people from my group, or I convert people from this outlet, or convert people from that outlet. But you want an intended plan of action. I want people to follow my page. This is what I'm going to do to help get people to follow my page. I want people to share. I want people to share this promotion. This is what I'm going to do to get people to share this promotion. Think beyond selling. Another example on a larger scale that I have is Nike. Nike is all about motivation and doing things and getting people to just do it, right? But so what Nike does is they encourage others. They encourage athletes. They basically encourage athletes to encourage other athletes to just do it. So that is their thought beyond selling, of what they can do to inspire action from their target audience and as well as their customers. So that is all I have for you. So I thank you guys for listening to me, and that is, we're gonna have Debra take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Katanni. That was excellent. Let's see, 1 second. Let me just get my screen up. Bear with me. Let's see, we've got a full screen. All right, so I think you're still sharing, Katanni.
Oops, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. So let me change screen a little bit here. Gallery. All right. Hopefully everybody loved that. I did. I learned something, and I already know Katanni. I talk to her all the time. And so I'm excited that we can do this and still learn from each other, which is awesome. So that makes this the perfect storm. So my portion of the webinar is to share about really more about marketing. So just give me a second and I'll pull up my presentation really quick. 1 second. And Facebook, we're streaming live. So if anybody's watching us and has some questions for us, feel free to drop them into the chat. I'll be checking them. Katanni can check it also. And we'll just go ahead and we'll see if we can answer some of your questions and take them. So don't miss this opportunity. And then we'll let anybody who's in the webinar, of course, will be able to ask questions first after we finish with my presentation. We might have a little short break, or we'll see how we do. We might just continue to go forward, not take a 5-minute break and just open up for some questions. So let's see, Light of Gold PR. Share my screen. All right, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep, so just a little bit about Light of Gold PR. We've been around for about 14 years. As I stated earlier, our slogan is we partner with you to shed light on the gold that exists in you and your organization. And then a lot of our services include publicity, marketing strategies, video production, TV commercials. A lot of where we kind of stay in our wheelhouse has been a little bit more with marketing strategies, digital strategies, a little bit with web development, a lot of social media and content development and event planning. And we've been around for 14 years. And I'm excited to say that we're about to go into our 15th year. Another thing that we do that seems to help a lot of our clients would include SWOT analysis, where we kind of look at your strengths, opportunities, your threats, just to try to identify, your strongest areas, your weakest areas, just so that we can kind of work on tightening up, some items in your company that maybe are not strong, and make them stronger. So pre-COVID, we mostly would be at West 34th Street, Manhattan. And the other part of the time we'd be in New Jersey. Of course, now that we're in the midst of COVID, we're mostly in New Jersey, working virtually. Both myself and Katanni are both in New Jersey, but of course we service clients all over the country. Just to kind of maybe start with the U company, let's talk a little bit about that. You're everything, right? You're the pitch man, you're the networking fiend, you're going to these events. Now you're going to these events via the virtual world, whether it's Zoom or whether you're on Google Meet or maybe you're on Facebook Live or Instagram Live, but you're everything. You're the assistant, you do the thank you cards, you set the calendar. You might be a client for another company. You pretty much balanced all of these jobs, right? You're the CEO of your personal brand. And so you're the social media manager, you're the publicist, you're everything. And that's a lot, to take on. So what we always encourage a lot of our clients to do is to find some systems that may work for them, like systems and processes, putting things on a calendar when it's just you, because it could be very, very challenging to balance all of these. You could have different days that are focus days. So say, for instance, one of your focus days is to set up your calendar and all of your appointments. Maybe that's on a Monday, right? And then maybe on a Tuesday, you want to focus a little bit more on your marketing. So let's talk a little bit about that, some marketing tips and the importance of thinking about marketing in relationship to your branding. So marketing tip, number one. Integrating social media. You know, if you have a restaurant, you know, restaurants are really, really suffering right now. I have a couple people who are on my team who just recently trained who work in retail in the restaurant industry. And so we really wanted to kind of target restaurants in 2021, because we know that's an industry that's hurting right now. And so sometimes what we find is that a lot of our clients have fragmented brands, which hurts their marketing and makes the marketing a lot more difficult. So what do I mean by fragmented branding and marketing? It means that for restaurants, I'll just use, since I started with restaurants, we'll use restaurants as an industry to start off with. So say, for instance, you have these mom and pop restaurants. They rely on walk-in traffic. I mean, this is a very common story as we have gone through COVID. These mom and pop shops are used to walk-in traffic. A lot of our clients that we work with have been in New York and New Jersey. They're mom and pops, you know, they used to walk in traffic. And then all of a sudden we have this major pandemic and restaurants they weren't able to pivot fast enough. And unfortunately, they had to close their doors. The ones who were able to pivot quicker, they invested in a presence online, making sure they had a Google page. Maybe they were on Yelp. Maybe they got a different point of sale system. Maybe they partnered with all of these apps where people are now ordering their food, but they had to make that pivot in order to survive this period of time. Now everybody was able to do that, or maybe they were in an area that they just couldn't survive in. But some of the restaurants who have been able to survive have said very specifically, these are some of the things that they've done, making sure that they come up in Google so that someone can order from them for pickup, you know, partnering with apps. And so kind of be mindful about, if you're integrating social media, kind of look at all the areas that make the most sense for your particular industry. Using your website as a marketing tool, that's so important. A lot of times we get so excited about posting flyers and information about an event on Facebook and LinkedIn, on Instagram, and we post in all these different areas, and yikes, it's not on the website. And so many companies, entrepreneurs, small businesses forget that. They say, oh, I got to get it on my Instagram page. I have 1,000 followers there. I'm going to get it on Facebook. I have 2,500 followers there, and they totally forget to put it on their website. So you got to do that. Choose really good keywords, you know, to incorporate in your site to make it easier for it to come up in Google. You know, use specific niche terms that make sense for your industry, you know, so that you have to think in the mind of your customer, not in your mind. A lot of times you define and describe your business one way, but if your client or your customer does not know that, they're not going to be searching for you in the ways that you may articulate. And so I could give you an example. We do PR marketing and branding, but for a lot of our clients that find us, they're actually trying to get help with a specific issue. The issue that they might be searching for might be, how do I fix my brand reputation, or what do I do to you know, now have crisis management. So these are kind of some terms they might be looking for if they needed some help with PR, and it might be a way that they will search for us if they're looking for help with, maybe they got into a crisis or some trouble with a particular client, and it could have been, you know, it could be a myriad of different issues. So now they're having trouble with their reputation. It's a restaurant, they got a bad review on Yelp. So the way they would search for our company to help them with this particular issue, we call it reputation management. In a Google search, they may call it, how do I fix my reputation? How do I fix my brand? Bad reviews coming up when when customers search. Those are probably going to be the terms that they're going to use in order to find our company, in order to get a company to help them with press and PR. So It's just an example of thinking in the mind of your client, not in your mind, but in their mind. How would they find your services? So you have to make sure in your descriptions, in your postcards, in your website, on social media, you have to make sure that you're using the words that connect with your client and not the words that are industry specific words to describe your industry. You have to be very careful about that. Use their terminology. Listen, if you don't understand what their terminology is, do a survey. You know, it's really easy to do surveys today. You could create a form in Google. You could do Survey Monkey or something like that, and go ahead and send some emails out and do a survey of your own to find out how they will articulate your particular services. That's one way to go about it. Using your website as a marketing tool. As Katanni mentioned, just making sure you have great visuals and that connect with your brand. That's one side of it. But guess what? If you're not using those great visuals in all of these marketing areas, having a pretty website, having pretty visuals is not going to be of any service to you at all. You know, so making sure that your visuals make a lot of sense, you know, and that they are also going in the areas that you could be found. You know, that's super, super important to make sure you're doing that. So making sure you have visuals that engage your audience, plenty of visuals, using video. We use video prolifically. We do promo videos. We package videos like this webinar in a way to go ahead and go after new markets, new clients, new attendees for workshops and classes. So making sure you incorporate video is really important. A lot of times you can say so much more in a video in a short period of time than you can do in written content. And that's where everything is headed. People are tired of reading. They rather click on a video and get the description of whatever your services are there. So it's really important to incorporate video. So we talked about using your website as a marketing tool, making sure you're using a very navigational, a well-navigated website, making it easier for people to find the information that they're looking for. You know, so making sure everything makes sense. Back in the day, we used to call this website functionality. Today it's called customer experience. So things have changed a little bit, but making sure your website is easy to navigate and the information that your customer or client might be looking for is easy to find. So update your content, you know, update your flyers, your video. We're always doing that. Your sales promotions. Maybe you might want to use a coupon code, you know, on your website. Maybe if you're retail, you're selling product, coupon codes. We have an online store at goldwellnesscircle.com, which is our health and wellness site and platform that we started back in March, really in response to COVID, because we know that people are struggling with mental health issues and fitness issues. So on that website, we teach fitness classes like Zumba and yoga, and we sell product on that site. And what we found is that by selling product, and a lot of times with the product that we sell, we connected it to nonprofits to help them raise money. And any of the proceeds, a portion of the proceeds will go to this nonprofit. But what we found was something very interesting. The use of coupon codes really does engage people. And so we try to make sure we're using cool coupon codes, making it interesting for, you know, anybody who comes to our site to get discounts. It's really a missed opportunity if you do not use your website. If you are only updating everything on your social media only and forgetting all about your website, maybe you don't have a website, maybe you have an app. You know, I don't know exactly what you might have, but in any event, if you're making updates strictly on social media and not on your website or your app, you now have officially a brand disconnect, because what someone might see on social media for whatever you're promoting is not consistent with what is on your website. And that's a problem. And so you definitely want to make sure you're updating all the areas so that everything is more cohesive. Questions. How many of you post all of your events on your website first? That's really where the core of where you should start. It's really your website. How often do you update your website? Are you putting all of your events on social media and forgetting to post on your website? Exactly what I was saying before. What kind of keywords are you focusing on? That's really important to keep in mind your keywords. Do you have a Google page? A Google page is a great place to update and to show what you're working on and what events you have coming up, what products you're selling. It's great to put it there because a Google page is part of Google. And when it comes up, it's great. It gives you more awareness about what you're doing. Do you know the social medias that you need to target? Maybe based on your industry, you might do better on other social media sites than others. Like for example, a lot of brands gravitate to Instagram when they're trying to sell product. Certain people gravitate to LinkedIn when they're looking to sell more corporate type products, or if they are more of a business to business type of company or B2B. So if you're a B2B and maybe you're selling insurance or you're selling certain services in your target market, maybe it's other businesses, LinkedIn might be a little bit better for you. If you're selling to groups and consumers, which would be a business to consumer type target, maybe Facebook might work for you in certain areas. Sometimes people sell on Pinterest and they do very well. And then of course, don't forget, we have like Amazon and we have Etsy and all these other areas where you could sell, but you really just have to decide, okay, where do I need to play? Which ones of these social media sites really make the most sense for my particular industry? So we talked about Facebook, you know, the largest social media site in the world at the end of Q4 2018. The site had, of course, we're at the end of 2020, so the numbers have totally changed. Instagram has now become hot, and you know, Facebook and Instagram are pretty much, you know, sister companies now. And it's become increasingly important for social media marketers to make sure they have a presence on Instagram. And we do Instagram lives, we do Facebook lives. Not being shy about promoting yourself in those areas is really important as well, and being open to that. Some people are like, well, I don't like video. I don't want to do video. Maybe you might do better off of YouTube. It doesn't have to necessarily be a live per se, but video is very important these days, and incorporating it into social media kind of deepens your engagement with your target market. Twitter is another big platform that we use. Unlike other social media, it's better for sharing links to content that has appeared elsewhere. This doesn't necessarily have to be your own content. Maybe you like to share other thought leaders' content. Maybe you like to be the go-to company that provides great tips, and maybe they're not all your tips. That's okay too. So Twitter's really good for that. So we do have our own Google pages. It's what we love about being on Google is getting Google reviews. If you have a client maybe that had a great experience, a great customer experience with you, you want to ask them to maybe create a review for you online, and that comes up in Google, and you can repurpose that review onto your website. So great testimonials, great tips. People who work with you, they want to know who else has had a great experience. Making sure that you can provide those references and those customer experiences that other clients have had really is helpful in a new client or a new customer making that decision to work with you. If it is something, it could be clothing, it could be jewelry, maybe it's a product. Also providing testimonials from previous customers, that's also important. And what it does is it encourages other customers and clients to kind of take the leap. Oh, wow, yeah, this sounds nice. Maybe it's something that you connect with this particular review because maybe this person is in your part of the country. Maybe they like the same things that you do. And you might easily decide to make a decision to go ahead and get product or purchase an item really based on someone else's review. So reviews are really important. And we talked about Google Pages. Do you have one? Are you updating it? It's really important to make sure you're doing that as well. We do also like to encourage a lot of our customers. Let me see, I think there was one slide I wanted to make sure that I talked a little bit about. We like to make sure that our clients and customers kind of consider doing other types of promotions, for instance, or types of services. So one of the things that we also like to encourage is if you're looking at doing like converting a video into a TV commercial, could be a 30 or 60 seconds spot. Doesn't have to be on traditional TV. I mean, so many things now are, you know, on our phones now, and you can actually advertise digitally for a lot cheaper than it ever was. And so that is the service that we have provided, and we have found that our clients like repurposing their content in video form to engage a new target market. And so that has worked pretty well, you know, for different clients that we work with. The other thing to keep in mind, this isn't in the slides, but I want to go back to what Katanni said about general contractors. One of the things that we've done is we actually are a MWBE. So I want to talk a little bit about that real quickly, and maybe go to our website and share a little bit about that experience. We've been certified as an MWBE for the past, oh gosh, it's probably been over 10 years, probably closer to the time when we actually even became a business. We've been certified for years, not always successful getting the big, larger projects, but we're in a different time now. So we really feel like we are going to be able to secure some city or state business coming up in 2021. So I wanted to kind of share with all of you our capability statement. So let me see if I can pull that up for you real quick and show you what that looks like. Okay, so here's the capability statement. This is our website. And on a capability statement, we usually will include some information about some of the businesses that we work with. It's taking some time to come up. As soon as it comes up, I'll tell you talk a little bit about what's on there. Getting back to the general contractor example that Katanni came up with, which was a great example. For that general contractor actually might do really well if they get certified to work with their particular municipality, their county, their city, their state. It is a different type of process. Typically, you have to fill out paperwork. You have to have completed your taxes and have a lot of things in place. But it does give you another place to gain business. So a general contractor might fall in line with plumbing or construction or something like that. They might do very well as a subcontractor to a prime contractor. And that's a whole different process, but it is another place to gain business. And it might be something worth looking at in 2021. This capability statement kind of outlines a lot of our business, our services and what we provide. The other thing that it also does is it kind of lays out some of our, the clients that we work with. So a lot of these clients are previous clients that we work with, projects that we worked on. And then we also have Dun & Bradstreet number. We also have an EIN number. We're certified with the City of New York, but we are working on other certifications at this time. And then if you look over to the left-hand side, these are all our commodity codes and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a different language for those of you who are not familiar with it. But the good thing about it is once you kind of take a deeper dive into trying to do business with your particular city or state or county, it might give you another area to secure new clients, new projects. It's just really good to kind of keep an open mind. This is on our our initiatives for 2021, it is an area that we're looking at kind of mining for gold and trying to secure projects. And, you know, what the beauty of it is, if you're a minority or a women-owned business, the other thing is you can actually, or small business, you can actually engage larger projects. The dollar figure, it, you know, it used to be, back in the day, it used to be $5, $10, $15,000 was the small project, considered a small project. Now it might be six figures, might start at 100,000 or 250,000. So that's nice when you find out about projects that are that size that do not go out for a competitive bid. And so that is something else to kind of consider. Just kind of keep that in mind. I just want to make sure I mention that because Katanni brought up that example about the general contractor. Maybe they might do well if they get certified as a minority business enterprise, or they could be just a small business and maybe they fit in a particular area. They could probably be a subcontractor to a prime or larger business and get some business. Who knows? I mean, our part of the country, and we're in the Northeast, you know, it could be Port Authority, which is in New York. It could be New Jersey Transit. A lot of times those bigger, larger firms do look for smaller businesses to sub out business to. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind as far as trying to cast a wider net for new projects. And so I want to mention one last thing, because I think I have 6 minutes left. So one last thing I want to mention, I'm going to stop sharing, is I'm going to put on my little holiday ears, antennas. So happy holidays, everybody. So here's what I wanted to share. It's a little bit different. So I don't know about you, but one of the things I've been noticing is that these days it's really harder to connect with people. I mean, a lot of us are going through Zoom fatigue, right? It's just been crazy. We're on Zoom a lot, like we are now, and we're on video, and we're trying to connect with each other. So sometimes going a little bit old school can help, you know, picking up the phone, making phone calls. I think that's really important to make sure you're doing that. To connect is something that we even had to remind ourselves to do. But here's something we're super excited about doing more of. And we have these postcards, so we're going to be doing more mailers. So this is our Happy Holidays postcard that we are actually going to be mailing out. And what we're finding is that people get very excited now about getting stuff in the mail. You know, sometimes the email goes to spam, and, you know, it just becomes very difficult now to really connect to people because everybody is inundated with emails and messages and text messages and getting messages on social media. So doing something a little old school and tactile, like sending a postcard, is nice. You can outline your services and still have a holiday message on this side. We're getting this in the mail tomorrow. So we're really excited about returning back to that. So as far as part of our marketing that we'll be doing a little bit of, it's nice to have a great logo. We work with the K District on a lot of our design work and everything. We partner together with our branding and our marketing. I think the best thing to keep in mind is that once you have a good brand, getting, you know, items printed and sending it out is a good thing. You know, it's a good thing. You can still do that to reach out to people, just to kind of mix it up a little bit, do a little bit of a mail campaign, do a little bit of a phone call campaign to support your digital and social media outreach, because I think right now, this time in our country, we have to be open to doing something a little bit different. And we can't keep doing, if we're not finding that we're getting traction to our calls to action when we send an email or when we message people or when we Instagram people or tweet or Facebook people, going a little bit old school and sending stuff out by mail, picking up the phone, that can work, you know? So remember that you can always do that. You can always call people and feel comfortable reaching out to people on the phone especially if you're not getting any traction at all in the regular places. Yes, it's good to be open to finding new clients and to be mining for new clients and new communities, but old school still works too. Sending out a couple of items by mail, mixing it up a little bit, making the phone calls is great. I'm in a lot of networking groups. I'm a member of the Brooklyn Chamber. I'm also a member of Adrian's Network, New York Women in Film and TV. And Adrian Miller, I'm just going to shout her out real quick. She would say that all of this is great, Deb. All of this is great. But if you don't have any sales, you got nothing. So you gotta still do the sales process, and it may not always be online. Sometimes it will be aided by a phone call, a video meeting to kind of push it along. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs and small business owners don't realize if they continue to hide behind digital and social media for the sales process, that may not be enough to get them where they need to go. And so the last thing I wanted to mention too, before we open it up for questions, last thing I want to mention is networking is still important. A lot of the meetings have now gone over to Zoom or whatever video platform it is, and those same tools are being used for meetings and connecting and doing business and securing sales. So that is a change that's happened because of COVID. And it's probably going to be here to stay for at least a little while. So it's good to be open to those areas. The other thing that I find that's changed a lot, again, not being able to connect with people via email. So sometimes picking up the phone, sending a simple text message, getting people to answer the phone or answer messages, it's not as easy as it used to be. So being diligent about mixing up your marketing, having a marketing mix is going to be really important as we go into 2021. And partnership, just like Katanni and I are doing, Light of Gold PR in the K District, just like we're doing, it's important for all of you to consider doing. What does a partnership look like for you? Maybe it's someone who's in a similar industry, but they sell a different product from you, or they provide a different service. Think about joining forces and being able to provide a fuller solution for a client. Now, yes, you will need to have a contract. It will need to be a good fit, because everybody doesn't fit with everybody else, and that's okay. So making sure it's a good fit, you talk about everything you need to talk about, and you get a contract in place to protect both sides, and also explain what the partnership is about. It's very important to do, but consider that as part of your marketing too, making sure you're considering partnerships, changing up how your call to action looks, figuring out maybe some other product or services that you can provide, or maybe pulling out certain services and products that you've been providing that you don't really think about, making sure that you're looking at the types of solutions that you're providing. I think that's really, really important to consider. And so hopefully this was helpful. I don't see any questions yet. So I am going to ask Katanni to come back and join me. I think she is back. I'm looking at a different screen. There you are. Sorry. Looking at a different screen, and now it's going back and forth. Okay, where are you? I know you're there, Katanni, because I can hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you. It's just that my screen isn't always staying. There it is. Now it's there. Okay. I'm back.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much, Debra. That was very informative. Always good to learn. Even when no matter how long you guys have been in your industry, there's always something new to learn, because the industries are ever changing, they're ever evolving, and it's always good to share new insight into, gain new insight into what you're doing. So I am going to ask this question. And it is, what are some resources where a service-based business can use for branding and getting the word out? So I can, actually, I have a counter question. So when you say, so you said, you're looking for resources for branding and resources for getting the word out? Yes, all right, cool. So for branding yourself, I say before you go into visual, because when we're talking about creating visuals for branding, industry standard is still Adobe Creative Suite. So but I understand that a lot of, unless someone works in the creative field, they may not be well versed in those programs. I'll tell you, I work in the industry. I only have a strong command of 3 out of the 35 programs in Adobe Creative Suite. So there are more user-friendly solutions to create brand assets, and that is Canva, PixArt. If you want to do video, there's Ripple, there's InShot, there are even some templates that you can use in free in marketplaces like Creative Market. There are things on Etsy that you can use, but a lot of times you have to be careful with those because those are usually created for Photoshop or for Illustrator or for Canva. So you have to be, when you look at marketplaces, you have to be mindful of where those what programs those things can be used for. Another thing I want people to be mindful of when they are creating brand assets is that those are pretty much, it's not a free marketplace, but it is a marketplace where multiple people are using these same things. So the issue that you can run into, a small issue that you can run into, is that you're not creating things that are really unique to your brand. And then a larger issue that you can run into is that you cannot trademark those assets unless you use custom designed assets that were imported into Canva. But if you are using custom designed assets, you're probably not using Canva as much. I use Canva sometimes. I don't use it as much. And I import my own designs into Canva, but I still don't use it. I still don't use it as much because I feel like I have more control with other products. I mean, with other programs. In terms of marketing, and Deborah could probably expound upon this. I feel like it really depends on your service industry, or on your industry. So outside of social media and Google and everything like that, again, look to different marketplaces. So for example, and also look out for trends. Think about right now, if you're an iPhone user, everybody's talking about Clubhouse. Clubhouse is the new social media platform to be on. And what people like about Clubhouse is for the introvert and everybody who may be too shy to get on camera and have their face seen, in front of the world. Clubhouse is audio only, so you're just talking to people. And I'm really hating because I'm an Android user and it's only open to iPhone users. You can't even get in it on your iPad because I tried. It's iPhone. Yes. It's iPhone only. So.
Okay. So Willie just created Clubhouse today. Okay, so you are an iPhone user, so we got to be careful, Katanni, because Willie is an iPhone user.
I'm saying I'm hating because I can't get in.
We can't get in because we're Android users. So I think Willie, you good. You good. iPhone user, that's pretty cool. You got to tell us how it is.
And then in terms, you just also asked about the Facebook groups for specific industries. So I do run a Facebook group. I was actually telling Debra a couple of days earlier that I now get most of my clients I'll say for the past 3 to 4 months from my Facebook group. I filtered them into my group. They got to know me. I shared some awesome free content, and I always tell people to book a consult. Deborah will see, I'll drop a gem and I'll say, you want to know more, book a consultation with me. Let's talk. How sometimes I appeal more to their emotion. Like how much longer are you going to walk around with your crappy branding? I don't say it like that. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. But that basically allows people to get to know me so that I can eventually convert them into clients. So the best way to create the Facebook group for a specific industry, create it. Just go on, create it. Start by inviting some friends. I try not to do that so often because you don't want to filter in if they're your personal friends, they may not even be your target audience. So
true.
Yes. What you do is you run a Facebook. One thing I'm going to start doing, I haven't started yet because I'm revamping my website and I don't want my links to be broken when I run it. But you could run. But my colleague, my friend and colleague, and also she runs sales for my business as well. She runs a Facebook ad for her group, and she has been seeing a 10 to 20% increase each month. Since she started running ads. It's a continuous ad, and she does it really, really small, $5 a day, $10 a day, something like that. And it's a continuous ad, so that for those who don't know, it's just a ad that doesn't stop, doesn't have an end date until you end it. And the tip I give for that is, let people know, why do they want to join your group? What's going on in there? What are y'all gonna be talking about? And the second tip is, if you do run a Facebook ad to a group, your link cannot link directly to your group. It has to link to a landing page, and the landing page has to link to your group. For some reason, Facebook does not allow you to advertise to their own pages. So yeah, that's the little tidbit.
I like the lead magnets question. I think Willie's just gonna ask all the questions. That's okay, Willie. We got you. So lead magnets. I love lead magnets because I think they typically would be things like ebooks or a free tip sheet, or I think both Katanni and I, probably a little bit more, Katanni can speak to that, but they're really important to have lead magnets when you are promoting. If you're promoting a e-course, maybe and Katanni and I know this intimately, putting together promotions for a course, a branding course. Does this sound familiar, Katanni? Putting together promotions for a branding course, and what would that lead magnet look like? It could be a free webinar promoting that course. And you create all the content for that, not to give away all the content that someone would pay for, but to pull out some good information that could become a good promotional piece for it. And that could be the lead magnet. So lead magnets look different. It could be, a free tip sheet. It could be a free webinar, but it's not supposed to be replacing the actual workshop or class that is paid. It is actually something that could lead you to, because think about it, if you get 50 to 100 people to attend a free webinar, you can upsell the people in that free webinar for your paid content. So, I mean, that's my way in for lead magnets. And Katanni, you could chime in.
Yeah. So I still do webinars sometime. I don't do them I'm not going to be doing them as often in 2021, only because I feel like I talk a lot. I go live weekly in my group. I not speak on my podcast because I just repurpose my old content into podcasts. However, I am starting an interview series with my podcast. So now that means I'm going to be talking even more on a podcast. And so the lead magnets, so I'm probably going to be doing webinars a lot less in 2021. So the lead magnets that I'll be using, I'm going to continue to utilize filtering people into the group. And also pocket products. So what a pocket product is something that is super duper cheap, but super effective. So one pocket product I have that's going around right now is a book on how to raise your prices. Because a lot of people suffer with undervaluing themselves and underpricing themselves. So this $11 ebook will increase your profits 100-fold, because it basically gives you the steps on how to effectively raise your prices. Again, doing a brand assessment. I do have one that's more in depth, that's $47. And that goes into the whole doing a brand assessment, making sure your pricing model matches your brand and all the other stuff. That's the $47 product. But the $9 product is about, you already know that you need to raise prices, and this is how you do it. This is how you communicate to your clients that you raise your prices, and this is how you deal with the fall. This is what you do, and this is how you deal with the fallout of existing clients who might not like the fact that you just raised your prices. And again, $11. Okay. So it's what we call, there's a coach I follow, she calls it a no-brainer product. And actually a couple of coaches I follow call it the no-brainer product. And some people, I like the pocket product. And another thing I've learned or noticed is that I'm in a lot of groups and people are saying, I got scammed by a graphic designer. I got scammed by a social media marketer. I got scammed by this. I got scammed by that. And then when I look at these people that they hired, they have very similar presence. They have a very similar presence on their website and social media and everything. So I let people know. So I created another pocket product. I believe this one's like $9 or 10. I don't know. It's less than $15. And it is basically everything you should ask a potential it's geared toward graphic designers, but you can ask it for web designers, marketers, and all that. But it is geared, I do make it clear that it's geared toward graphic designers. But basically a series of questions you should ask the potential person or company that you're going to hire. And then I also let you know what their answers should be. Not that they're going to sound exactly like me, but if they work in this industry, there are industry standards that we do follow and that someone would follow within any industry. And so again, these are the questions you should ask. These are the things you should look for within their portfolio, and how they define their process and all of that. And if they don't have answers to these questions, also I even threw some industry lingo in there. If they don't even know what that lingo is, run.
Yeah.
Because
fast.
You don't
quickly.
It is not. I tell people, I educate people I coach people within my industry as well. And I let people know it is not the customer's job to know your lingo, but it is your job to know it. So if someone who claims to work within a particular field doesn't know the jargon and the lingo within that field, now I'm trying to say I don't know all the lingo, but I've heard of it and I know of it, and some of it I forgot because I haven't used it in years. But right. I still know what it is. So right. If people don't know what it is at all, they don't really work in this industry. Right. They just downloaded Photoshop to their computer and then all of a sudden decide to call themselves a graphic designer. And that's not what a designer is.
I think at this time, just to chime in, Katanni, and to share, I think what's happening a lot in this time in our country is there are so many people who have become entrepreneurs, really baptism by fire. They've lost their job or something happened. I mean, there's a huge audience now that's online because they're, desperate. They're looking for opportunities to make money quickly. And unfortunately, having been an entrepreneur for years, I can guarantee you that it doesn't always happen that way quickly. You have to nurture clients, you have to marketing takes time. And then a lot of times they don't know how to assess a graphic designer, a marketing person. They don't know it's like you don't know what you don't know. So it's like, if they don't know the lingo, well, heck, you don't know the lingo either. That's not your industry, so that's where it becomes a little scary, where you don't know anybody in this space, you don't know anything, so that's when it becomes really hard. And a lot of times what I find, a lot of new entrepreneurs and new business owners, they don't always want to take the time to learn, because now they need it and they want it quickly, they want it fast. And that's when they end up getting burnt. They get burnt, and now they just kind of hate everybody. They shouldn't, but that is what happens. And they're not trusting. Now they're not trusting the right people. They're throwing everybody into the same pile. And that's not always fair to do that. It's like, I always tell potential clients, check my references, check my reviews. I don't mind giving you resources. I don't have anything to hide. I've been doing this almost 15 years, and my reputation is important to me. Exactly. And so I'd rather turn down a project that I know that I can't handle, my team can't handle, maybe it's too large, too big. I don't have to have the whole pie. I can have a portion of the pie and bang it out the park, do fabulously with it. And then I don't mind the next time the project gets bigger and bigger. And then that way our company can keep impressing and doing good work. But a lot of times you got people that they don't have the bandwidth to fulfill your project. It's a side hustle for them, and they working full time during the day, and maybe they working on your project at 11, 12 o'clock at night. They can't complete it. So by the time it gets to you, it looks like crap, and you're wondering what are you paying for? So sometimes these are the types of things that happen. Knowing the right questions to ask. Is this your full-time business? Do you have a portfolio? Do you have a link that you could show me? Those are the questions that you want to ask to assess a potential vendor.
Yeah.
So,
and also to answer your question about cost-effective landing page resources, there are almost every email marketing platform gives you the ability to create landing pages now. So it really depends on what your needs are. And I cannot remember who has what features off the top of my head, but you have lead pages, you have ClickFunnels, of course. ClickFunnels is one of the more popular ones. You have lead pages, you have Kajabi, you have Klaviyo, MailChimp, although MailChimp is getting a little weird.
It is. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's getting weird. I don't know why, but
MailChimp is good for if you're just starting out, and if you have a very small list of people. And when I say small, I mean under 200 people. But if you have even more than 100 people, in all honesty, on your list, you might want to research other platforms. But again, Kajabi is a big one. Lead pages is a big one. ClickUp is another one. Actually, no, ClickUp is not. ClickUp is project management. There we go. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I personally use Klaviyo, although I create my own landing pages within my own site and then link it to Klaviyo. I've never integrated my landing page. I never used the landing page features in the email marketing services that I utilize. And that's mainly because I'm a designer and I'm a huge control freak, and I like everything to be consistent visually, and I have more control over the designing it myself rather than using one of their templates within their thing. If it's something super duper quick, maybe. But
I think I have not to interrupt you, Katanni. I think my perspective is a little different. I always like to incorporate the landing page into my site, because I always feel it's a great way to get additional marketing. And sometimes when someone goes to that page, they start poking around, looking at other links, and just becomes a great marketing opportunity. But for me, I like to utilize like my services page, or I'll move some things around you know, my team will move some things around, and that becomes the landing page. It's not always the best way to use it, to do it from a landing page perspective. But what I do like about it is the marketing side of it. So for me, to keep everything cohesive from a marketing perspective is what's important to me. Just like for Katanni, keeping control of the design and everything. For me, I don't want to lose traffic. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to revert people to all these other areas and other links and detract them from my site. And so that for me is the marketing. That's the control freak part of me, but it's more related to the marketing part of it.
And it does depend on what you do and depend on your industry. I know people make a killing with no website. All they have is a landing page. And whatever offer they are offering at that point, they just switch the landing page up. And they are making close to 7 figures. So you have to, you have to work those, you have to work what you got to make it work for you. My copywriter, I love her. She don't have none of that.
She's still making money. A lot of it.
Exactly.
So that just goes to show you don't always need to have a landing page or a website, or, you know, that's just always something to think about. You know, having traction.
In terms of the list, I can provide a list. As I stated, since I haven't used all of them, I'm not sure of all of the features in all of them, but I do have a list if you wanted to be able to just do your own research on them.
Right. Yeah, we could always shoot you an email, you know, any of the attendees or anybody who's interested, we could put like a little combine something together too. We could definitely do that. So, boy, those were some good questions.
Okay, cool.
Those were good questions, man. Oh my God. Yeah, okay, just the ones that are user friendly. We'll try. We'll try.
They're all fairly user friendly.
Fairly. Yes, fairly. Thank you. Those questions were phenomenal.
Yes, thank you.
We don't want to forget about the offer that we have. And so I'm just going to quickly pull up the landing page for the event, right? Perfect example. So let me do a share of my screen to show everyone the offer that we have for anyone who wants to go a little bit deeper with Katanni and I, maybe go over some things. So this is the landing page. This page is actually our upcoming events page. We just redesigned it and everything, which Katanni and my team worked together with this, redesigned it to incorporate the video and all of this great stuff on here about the workshop, about, you know, our backgrounds and everything. So that's what I was mentioning about incorporating the landing page into the brand of the website, because it becomes a great opportunity for marketing. And so we have this fantastic offer that includes this dynamic duo of Debra and Katanni. You know, so we thank you for everybody who attended. You know, we hope you learned a lot. And I think Willie asked everybody's questions. So that was great. But we have two really great, wonderful packages and offers. One is a 2-hour session with the initial brand strategy audit for existing brands or brand development for your new business. We also can give you an innovative and creative marketing plan, only $299 if you sign up today. And then we have a 3-hour session that includes more of the overall brand strategy. This is a one-on-one with you, by the way, you know, with you and your company or whoever you identify that you want to work with you on this project, from your team or from your company. Overall brand strategy, content strategy, visibility strategy, money strategy, all that stuff is super important. Identify the best digital and social media and marketing traditionally and via social media. So these two packages really includes both of us, you know, and it's like significantly discounted. You know, so definitely signing up today would be great. We'll have it up on the site for anybody who's interested. All they have to do is click here and they could order.
Yes. So, and I did list, you have until 2020.
Oh, wow. That's great.
To take advantage of either of these offers. So
Yes.
after that, it's going away.
Ooh, wow. You know, that's a gift.
Back together again because we're busy.
Yes. Hey, that's a gift. You know, you have some time to take advantage.
That you get the two of us for the price of less than one of us.
Absolutely. That's a great, great, great deal. So anybody who's watching or looking, they'll see the replay. Anybody on the call, if you're interested, this is what you can get. We're super excited to be teaming together to offer this significant value to you. You know, really, really good stuff. And this is specifically for you, personalized, customized for you and your company.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got that there. I think that we covered everything. Any other questions? I'm just looking. No, awesome. I think we're good. Yep. I think we're done. That was great. Always have events coming up, always doing workshops, always, you know, we do have the Gold Wellness Circle as well. As our sister brand, a sister company, but Light of Gold PR is our core business. So we're always, you know, love doing workshops and classes and offering consulting and stuff like that. And whether it's press or marketing or branding or new engagement, we're here, lightofgoldpr.com.
Yep. And before we get to the marketing, we always say, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? What came first, branding or marketing? So you can't market if you don't know what to market. So what you want to do is you want to nail down what your message is, who you are as a brand, who you are as a company, and we want to present that in a nice little package so that you can give to a marketing person such as Debra Dixon-Anderson, so that you can make a seamless campaign, you know, from the concept through execution. So what you want to do is contact me at www.thekdistrict.com, and you want to book a consultation to see what's missing within your messaging right now, what's missing in your marketing materials right now, and let's develop those so that we can sell some more products and services for your people. If you are still on the fence about that, you can jump into my group, Find Your Brand Superpower. That all you do is click in the Facebook search and put in Find Your Brand Superpower, and I drop daily gems about branding. It's sometimes overall business and sometimes design, but most of the time it's about branding.
Absolutely. Most of my tips are all about marketing. So if you follow me on anything like Instagram, it's always Light of Gold PR. So most of my tips are definitely going to be marketing and deepening your engagement related tips, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We create a lot of tip sheets and content and posts, mostly all about marketing.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
So do we have anything else?
I don't think so. That was great. Let me just check. I didn't see anything on Facebook. They've been kind of quiet lately. That's been interesting. We usually always have a couple of Facebook folks that chime in, unless everybody's like shopping for the holidays.
With Facebook Lives for me, I've been getting after I've gone live. I get
of course. Yes, absolutely.
Questions.
Absolutely.
But then the frustrating is I found out that I realized that they asked the question while I was live. So I get frustrated.
Yeah.
For not notifying me of my audience's questions.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking on there. I don't see any Facebook questions, but really great questions. Definitely, you know, glad. Thank you for all who attended. We appreciate you. Hope this was useful for you. Hope you learned a lot and got some great tips. Heck, I did. I learned a lot. I mean, like I said, I talk to Katanni all the time, but sometimes being in this forum, I think we end up teaching each other without intentionally teaching each other, because I feel like we're always teaching each other, but it's just a little different here. So it's good stuff.
So good night, guys.
Good night. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Have a good night. Bye. Wait 1 sec.